It has been a long-time goal of the provincial government to increase shipbuilding capacity in BC. Now, in 2020, John Horgan's NDP government promised to launch a long-term shipbuilding strategy. And as we saw with the latest procurement program for BC Ferries, local shipyard Seaspan was too busy to even submit a bid, as were other Canadian shipbuilders. Well, earlier this week, we heard from an analyst on this, and today we're going to hear from the industry itself. Alex Rueben is the executive director of the Association of British Columbia Marine Industries, and Alex has been good enough to join us this morning. Good morning to you, Alex.
Morning, Stephen.
We don't expect you to take political sides on this, but we are curious from your vantage point as an industry advocate, and obviously somebody who's got a strong understanding of where the province stands right now in this industry. How surprised were you to learn that BC Ferries went to a Chinese shipbuilder for this contract?
Given the timing that BC Ferries needed the four major class vessels, and namely over the next 5 years, and given the size of those vessels, I was not surprised that they went offshore to try and find the capacity to build those vessels. You mentioned in your intro the strategy, the shipbuilding strategy that Premier Horgan had initiated back in 2001. That actually became the BC Maritime Industries strategy, which is out there and is a government strategy underneath the Stronger Economic BC framework. And that strategy actually did evolve into a grant program that built up maritime infrastructure in the province, 41 different projects throughout the province to really do three things. One, to build capacity throughout the province in maintenance and repair of vessels, and also to aid the small vessel construction, this boat construction companies, which we really, in some cases, lead North America and the globe in. So some of that really did translate into capacity in BC. But when it comes to a large vessel like the major class, really, you said it, really only Seaspan could have taken that on in the near term.
And then we know that they're busy for a few years out as well. I mean, they take, these things take a lot of time. So it's interesting because the strategy that we're talking about, would you say that, we're not really victims of our own success, but it does sound like the industry here is bustling.
It is. And I believe that we can evolve into building larger vessels, sort of step our way up there in terms of doing sort of medium-sized vessels, and then eventually maybe through modular construction and cooperation amongst yards, and maybe assist Seaspan in the future in building the larger vessels. So I really do believe that this can lead eventually to larger shipbuilding in BC.
And now, I mean, going offshore then seems to make sense because we have, the industry can't handle a quick turnaround right now. But why China? Why not go to an ally country where we've done, taken ships from in the past? I mean, Korea, Japan, anywhere else?
I think it really is a question of cost, Stephen. The Chinese shipyards are building over 65% of the merchant marine traffic, or merchant marine order book in the globe, and over 80% of roll-on, roll-off vessels. And so they have achieved a level of productivity and of ability to build at fairly low cost in their yards, and therefore. I think it was really a question of cost and what BC Ferries could afford, and not have to pass on the premiums of building elsewhere to the BC Ferry ratepayer, namely the people that buy tickets to use the ferries to cross our waters.
When was the last time a BC Ferries vessel similar in size was built by a Canadian shipyard?
Well, in the early 2000s, the Spirit class, and that there was a cooperation amongst a number of yards to do that. I believe that certainly in the future that approach could be used again, but Seaspan is going to be at the bottom of that, or really at the crux of that solution, because they really. Shipbuilding is a skill that's entirely different from shipbuilding and ship repair and maintenance. It's an acquired skill.
Yeah.
Vancouver Shipyards has built that workforce, that skill set. They've developed through the National Shipbuilding Strategy a huge supply chain that they can leverage to build other vessels. So I really think that, that they would be the solution with the cooperation of other yards in the future.
And we've got kind of this weird structure of BC Ferries because it is kind of a quasi-crown corporation, but also an independent company. I mean, do you think the provincial or federal government be using its own legislative clout to require future vessels to be built in this province or in this country, or again, anywhere but China?
Yeah. Was that a question? Or?
That was a question.
Yeah. I certainly think that the BC Ferries with the provincial government and obviously the federal government would have to be part of it as well, because there will be a premium, much like there is in building the federal fleet vessels under the National Shipbuilding Strategy, that there would have to be a cooperation between those three entities.
And so John Horgan's promise of 2020 that, he would revitalize shipbuilding here in British Columbia, you're indicating that is in fact working.
It is. We're slowly getting there, and I think really proof of the ability to get there was this infrastructure investment way where the BC government put $25 million into building up the marine infrastructure in the province. And we've created a lift capability. We've created new innovation in terms of manufacturing processes. We've touched on 60% of the projects with an Indigenous connection. And we've been all over the province in terms of geography, in terms of putting new infrastructure into place. So I think it's really a demonstration of things like that can really work.
All right. Alex, it's really good to hear you this morning. Thank you very much. We appreciate your sharing your knowledge of this, because it is an ongoing story here.
It surely is, Stephen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alex Rueben, Executive Director of the Association of British Columbia Marine Industries.